let's go ahead and talk about the special master. Let's throw this up there on the screen. It broke last night. Judge Cannon, the federal judge, has granted Trump's request for a special master to review attorney-client and executive privilege, executive there being the key. She also says that her order will not stop the intelligence community review of the record. So this is a fascinating case. And as we have talked about previously, the attorney-client privilege stuff, if you trust the FBI, just saying, they do have that so-called filter team. I believe the official term is taint team, as we discussed. Let's go with filter here for Breaking Point's canon. Well, that filter team has already actually completed its attorney-client privilege review. However, from the order by the judge, we do learn, why is this so different? Because, frankly, it's the former president. Let's throw this up there. Just from the documents seized, we know that they include Trump's medical documents, correspondence related to his taxes, accounting information. As the former president, the judge says, quote, the stigma associated with the subject seizure is in a league of its own. And another reason I think it's important to even publicize what type of documents have come out is, look, these people leak like a sieve. You know, would you truly be surprised, Krystal, if some of these documents just happen to end up in the hands of the New York Times? No. And then, look,
and that's part of the case that the judge makes, actually.
Which is correct. Yeah, that's the right case, which is, listen, at the end of the day, it's the former president. I don't support the FBI doing that to anybody, and they are known to be very political. Just look at how much information we even know about this case. We were getting the lists of documents and the types of classified information, the et cetera, being leaked to the Times almost instantly after the raid even occurred. And I think the judge making the case here that what makes this different, it's the former president. And you and I were discussing it before the show, and I don't really understand why. The legal community is in an uproar over, like, and by this I mean the, like, quote unquote resistance liberal, you know, the Preet Bhararas and all those people that were like, this is outrageous, this is obstructing the investigation. I mean, look, all the person is tasked with doing is going through privileged information. And will it delay the case? Yeah, probably. But that doesn't mean that the eventual case won't be brought. That's what they seem to be the most upset of, from what I could tell.
So, from what I can tell, listen, I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, we're not lawyers.
I'm humble enough to say, like, I couldn't tell you right now whether this is a big deal or whether it, like, really violates precedent, is outside of the norms. I mean, listen, we're dealing with the former president. We are in uncharted territory. So, sort of definitionally, any decision that was made here would be something new and different. The part that they seemed to me most upset about was, like, the precedent that was being set, especially with regards to, you know, I mean, lots of people have their homes raided and documents seized, et cetera. There's no doubt that the president is getting sort of special treatment here. Most people do not have it taken into consideration that, like, oh, some of your personal effects were taken. Let's give you some redress and give you some relief so that you can potentially get those things back. And so what I could tell is that there was an upset over the precedent that was being set here. Even among some of these, those people, though, they were like, I'm not sure it really makes a difference in terms of the case, because ultimately, we weren't going to have charges filed until after the midterms anyway. So I'm not even, like, it will cause some delay, as now the government has been blocked from continuing to use these documents in the criminal investigation part. They are allowed to continue their national security review, and that's an analysis to find out what, if any, damage would be done if any of these documents were leaked, released, made public, et cetera, or got into the wrong hands. So that review is able to continue, but they're not allowed to use the documents in terms of the criminal investigation. So yeah, that sets things back. It's a little bit of a win for the Trump team. Helps them to kind of confuse things, muddy the waters. They did not rule on whether, and she's very explicit in saying, like, this does not mean that I agree that a former president can assert executive privilege, especially when they're sort of, you know, at loggerheads with the current incumbent president. She said, we'll leave that ruling for another day. But it does open the door more for the Trump team to be able to claim executive privilege over some of these documents. So I guess the big takeaway is, like, we'll see. We'll see whether this stymies the investigation. We'll see how long this process takes. The next piece of the puzzle here is both sides have to submit suggestions for who the special master should be. It's not an easy person to find who can sort of fill this role, who has to be able to review all these extraordinarily classified documents and, you know, have the ability to do that, and also have whatever the qualifications are for people to serve as a special master in the first place. Let me just read this one section of the ruling that I think kind of explains the decision here. She says the court takes into account the undeniably unprecedented nature of the search of a former president's residence, plaintiff's inability to examine the seized materials and formulating his arguments to date. Again, I assume most plaintiffs don't have that ability either. Plaintiffs' stated reliance on the customary cooperation between former and incumbent administrations regarding the ownership and exchange of documents. The power imbalance between the parties, interesting. I'm sure there's always quite a power imbalance between the government and the plaintiff, less so in this case when you're dealing with the former president. The importance of maintaining institutional trust, good luck with that one, and the interest in ensuring the integrity of an orderly process amidst swirling allegations of bias and media leaks. So, and then she finishes here, plaintiff ultimately may not be entitled to return much of the seized property or to prevail on his anticipated claims of privilege. That inquiry remains for another day. So she's saying, look, I'm not saying you're actually going to get much of your stuff back, if any. I'm not saying that we're actually going down the path of ruling on executive privilege and getting into all of that. We're going to push that off for another day. But for now, yes, we're putting the special master in, and the government is blocked from being able to continue using the documents for the criminal investigation. Now, there's some speculation about whether or not the government will actually appeal this ruling. It would go to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which is quite conservative, and 6 of the, I believe, 11 members were Trump appointees. But I think most people expect it will be appealed. That's what I could tell from the analysis that I saw. And even there's some like complicated legal stuff here about even the way the government argued the case was sort of seen as attempting to make the case more appealable and give them a better shot of prevailing upon appeal. But given the makeup of that court, I wouldn't be extraordinarily hopeful if I was the government that this would ultimately succeed.
I agree on the appeals function. I also just think that this sets us up for something we previewed before, which is that let's put this attorney-client privilege aside. The judge zeroed in on executive privilege and said that the Justice Department was potentially overstating. Again, she's not saying that she's not saying that adjudicating it, but she says that the government is overstating the fact that executive privilege does not apply at all in these cases, which sets up complicated possible jurisprudence all the way up to the Supreme Court in the future about what type of executive privilege can be extended as to when you're president, not president, the actual declassification process, does that even violate the law, all of that. So put that aside also because that's also what the special master will be focusing on. And that's another area of jurisprudence that could be wrangled all the way up to the court. Some of the people I've spoken with have pointed to that specifically. And maybe, again, to justify and underline this order, why a special master might be beneficial in the first place, just to try and avoid and check some boxes before we head to that point with the appeals courts. It's just going to be, it's a mess. I mean, when a former president and you're dealing with this stuff, just the level of authority that we give that person and then they leave office, it's an unprecedented situation. I mean, when's the last time that you even had somebody who was defeated or had one term? And I think it's Grover Cleveland, right? Or Teddy Roosevelt in the 1900s. That's really the last time that we had even a similar dynamic of somebody wanting to run again. So it's been a long time, and I would just say the administrative state has probably changed.
Yeah,
since then.
So while I'm not a legal analyst, what I'll say in terms of the political front, which I think is more of what him and his legal team, Trump and his legal team are really playing towards, is anything that gets bogged down in these complicated jurisprudence questions over executive privilege and these sorts of things, and takes away from just the bald-faced facts that there were highly classified documents at his beach resort for some reason, that he lied to the government and didn't give them back. We don't know why. We also know now there was a more detailed list of inventory that was released by the government. He, in addition to the classified documents, he also had all of these empty folders that used to contain classified documents, which are what happened to those ones? Where did they go? Anything that distracts from those just basic facts of what's going on, I think is good for them. Because then, we get mired in these legal analyses where it is contested territory. I mean, it seems like the bulk of the legal profession thinks that this was wrongly decided, this piece about the special master, and takes a different view of executive privilege. But it is contested, and it's not entirely clear based on past Supreme Court rulings. The more you get into those details versus the really clear and simple case, I think the better it is politically for them. So that's their strategy, is let's just like muddy the waters, kick things down the road, buy some time, see what we can do, and hope that we can sort of come up with a political case that's going to ultimately get us off the hook here. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.